right, welcome to part 1 of Alien Week, everyone.
That should have started yesterday, but didn't.
Well, yeah, you know. Well, it's gonna be great. I'm a big fan of the Alien franchise, and I'm really excited for the new one coming. Well, I don't know if I'm excited. I'm just looking for an excuse to do a bunch of videos about one of my favorite movies. So, you know, we'll see how that new one turns out on Friday this week. But for now,
which we will be making a video about.
Yeah, definitely. So for now, David and I are going to do something a little new. Think of this as like a guided podcast where we're commentating over the first Alien movie.
It almost might be called commentary instead of a podcast.
Well, yeah. So this has been done by a couple people on YouTube before, I think. I mean, we're not original, but
no, we're not.
I wanted to do
annoying.
A bunch of. Yeah, but I do like this movie, and I was just looking for an excuse to watch Aliens 1 and 2 again. So, we're gonna give you instructions for how to sync the audio of us talking with the video, for the movie. You're gonna have to get your own copy of it. I believe it is the standard version of the movie, not the director's cut. The running time is 116 minutes, so...
And give or take a couple of seconds, depending on what you define as seconds.
Yeah. David and I are gonna have to like try and get it synced up like almost exactly. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure that out. So we're both watching it at the same time.
In diddly deed, neighborino.
All right, so come along and join us for this journey of space.
This journey
spooks.
of us saying stupid things while a better thing plays in the background.
Keep in mind, I got a new kitten lately, and his name is Monkey, and he's tiny and he's hyper. So if he makes noise or eats wires under my TV, and I have to go run over and stop him before he, bleeds acid all over my house,
dies.
Yeah. Or David's computer updating in the background, making buzzing noises.
Yeah, my editing computer is really loud. The fan is obnoxious.
Alright, so, see you in a second. Alright. 3, 2, 1,
go! I'm going now, okay?
Yeah, there's that old 20th Century Fox logo. You know, I gotta ask, why on earth did they decide their company should be called 20th Century Fox? Like, if you think about the word Fox, it's kind of weird.
It took place in they founded it in the 20th century. And yeah. Fox sounds cool.
Fair enough. You know what? Anything with the... I'm not, like, talking myself up. I think words
here's
with the
what
letter
it is.
X
here's what
actually sound cooler.
20th Century Fox was formed as a merger between Fox Film and 20th Century Pictures.
Oh, okay. Just like Wayland
and
Yutani.
Fox Film was founded by William Fox.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's named after a guy, it's not as weird because a lot of people.
And of course,
that.
20th Century Pictures because 20th Century.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I don't expect you to. I mean, if this is your first time watching the movie Alien, dear viewer, whoever you are, don't watch it with us talking over it, dude.
Excuse me for a second. I'll be right back.
Don't worry. If one of us leaves, the other one will just keep rambling through it. This is very informal. I'd like that. I like how the logo fades in over the course of a couple of seconds, like bit by bit. But if you're watching the movie for the first time right now, what's wrong with you? Don't listen to us while you're watching this. That's a dumb idea. We're gonna ruin it. So, like, go watch the movie first, and if this is your second time watching it, then you're in the right place, because we're going to kind of ruin a lot of the suspension of disbelief by talking about fun filmmaking facts. Because when I think about, like, classic film, God, look at those models. When I think about classic film, this is one of the first that comes to my mind. Like, there's just so much art put into this. Like, every single piece of the movie was very meticulously planned and designed a very specific way. It's a whole crew of, tons of people that were very passionate and very creative, and they all had some kind of input. It wasn't just the spaceship is going to look like a generic spaceship. Like, they wanted to make it unique, you know? The alien design wasn't something generic and boring. I mean, H.R. Geiger put in, like, crap loads of work to make sure it was the most amazing, spectacular, weird design possible.
Hey, I'm back. What did I miss?
Hey, I was just talking about how H.R. Geiger actually did 4 designs for the alien, and
he was a total creepy weirdo.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He did 4 designs for the alien, and because they were so like overtly sexual, they had to get changed because I guess like something about H.R. Geiger's designs have a lot of like phallic and vaginal symbolism to them.
Because
like,
he's a creepy weirdo.
Well, yeah.
Like you.
You know, sometimes creepy weirdos can be really creative people.
Well, not you on that one.
I can't remember exactly how they did it, but I think they extended their hallway set in the studio here by adding a mirror to it, so it looked longer than it actually was. Like, just reflect it in another direction, so it looks like the
instead
hallway.
Of just putting a green screen there.
Yeah. There's a lot of this movie that is done because this was before the age of, hey, let's just put a green screen there.
But hey, who needs green screens anyway?
You know, I find those, like, helmets, like, the emergency helmets kind of interesting, just because, like, someone had to put a lot of thought into how this whole cockpit design works, you know, like, what if one of those big windows there decompresses? And of course, there's also, what is the technical term for this? Isn't it, like, lo-fi sci-fi is one of the ways it's...
I'd call it retrofuturism.
Yeah, that's the more sophisticated version.
Although retrofuturism might be more like 50s futurism. I don't care.
Like a little bit more like Fallout, where everything's, like, really angular and round.
And they have, they don't have curved screens, or they have curved screens instead of not ones.
Yeah, and everything's, you know, I think something else that I find impressive about this movie is just, like, how much thought was put into really little details that you would never see up close. Like, they actually built specific designs for the keyboards on the ship that aren't just a generic computer keyboard. Like, there's special buttons that all have a corresponding meaning. It's like, who on earth would care about that to even look at that? I mean, of course, like, this movie's like a relic of history. It's been analyzed to death. Every tiny little detail of the set. But that's kind of what makes it special, you know? Everyone's waking
Remember
up from
when sci-fi movies were silent?
Oh yeah, when it wasn't just like it wasn't a bunch of teenagers talking constantly and then something spooky happens. I mean, that's what it is now because we're here, but like, you know, you like get them
like
modern
this
full
and like
films.
2001. I'm talking about sci-fi movies. Like sci-fi movies with just long, slow shots. Hey, John Hurt.
Yeah. He passed away recently. I'm very sad.
He was also in Doctor Who.
Fun fact, the casting process for his character was kind of like a crazy, all-over-the-place mess. And I think they actually thought about casting someone, John Finch, for the role instead. But then I guess that, like, after a bunch of scheduling conflicts, they were like, all right, we can't get that guy into the role. So they got John Hurt on board, and like they pitched the movie to him over the weekend, and then he showed up on Monday after like not sleeping a whole bunch, so he looks super tired throughout some of the earlier scenes. Hey, you know, I was actually going to tell you a cool thing I found out, because I've been looking up a lot of trivia on this movie just because I thought it would be fun to add that. It turns out that when they were writing the script, they wrote these characters to intentionally be gender neutral.
Congratulations.
So, something I noticed that was cool when looking up trivia is that when they were writing the script for this movie, they intentionally, like, everyone is mostly referred to by their last names. Like, there's Parker and Ripley and Dallas and Kane. They specifically wrote all of the characters to be gender neutral. In fact, they originally thought Ripley was going to be a guy. Like, they just wanted to create some kind of weird, like, genderless future, kind of. So, all of the characters were written, like, just without a gender in mind. Like, Kane could have been a guy, Kane could have been a girl, Ripley could have been a guy. In fact, the original writers, didn't intend for Ripley to be a lady, but then, after the casting was worked out, they went back and added the he's and she's to the scripts to let it work. And then I think they added first names as well.
I don't remember any of the first names or any of the last names because none of these people really had any personalities except for maybe Ripley, and that's a maybe.
Yeah, she doesn't really do a whole lot till the second movie. She's, it's...
Nobody really does anything in these movies. Nobody really... I only remember John Hurt because he's John Hurt and you remember him.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, look, it's the pod from Galaxy Quest. No, from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The escape pod.
Kinda, yeah. When did Hitchhiker's Guide come out? Like the original TV series that you showed me bits of?
TV series was in the mid-70s. Book was a radio show, and then the movie came out in the early 2000s.
Okay, because I know this came out in, like, it was 79. So, if the sets are identical, it could be a tribute of some kind. Although, I don't know. I know that, Ridley Scott said that he was...
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is better.
Oh, you be quiet, you. But I know Ridley Scott...
was supposed to be like a...
What are you trying to say here? Are you trying to tell me that your story about hitchhiking across the galaxy is better than a movie about a bunch of galactic truckers getting eaten and or I guess technically, like, raped by a space alien?
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. I mean, yours is certainly more, like, hopeful and less...
No.
pessimistic.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is not hopeful.
Well, it is in a sort of, like, sarcastic
It's about
way.
how... It's about how there's no meaning to life. Basically, that's the message of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
But it says it with a smirk.
And everything... the universe doesn't care about you, and... You're not special. Nobody's special. There's no destiny, and we should just do whatever we want. Which is kind of nihilistic.
Marvin, the manically depressed robot, was right.
Do you know what the answer to the ultimate... do you know what the ultimate question is? You know the ultimate answer in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is 42. Do you want to know what the ultimate question is?
Isn't it like... Isn't it just
what
like...
is 6 times 7?
Yeah, I was just going to say,
question.
isn't it just how you get to 42?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. There's no special meaning, deeper meaning to anything is the message. And here's the message is that you're going to die in space.
Yeah, the message here is don't go to space. It's fucking scary.
And Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is kind of more depressing because there's no meaning.
It's like
to
it doesn't
space
even matter if you go to space because just existing is scary.
Yeah. So Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is funny and sarcastic, but it's also really dark and depressing.
Alright, so that's our commentary over Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, everyone. You know, the guy who plays Parker there with the blue
Who's
headband?
Parker?
Yeah. He was actually
Blue
told
headband
by...
man?
Yeah, headband man. He was told, like, behind the scenes by Ridley Scott to be as annoying to Sigourney Weaver as possible, just so there'd be more tension between them in dialogue. and he says like later on that he really regretted that because he really liked Sigourney Weaver and wanted to be her friend, but he, of course, everyone being the method actors they are.
What's the method?
Trying to get the other person on set to hate you so it comes across better in the scenes.
We're approaching a planet that's very planetary. Hello, Bilbo Baggins.
I was so surprised to find out that that guy was Bilbo, because I was like, he looks kind of old in this movie. How old is he in Lord of the Rings 1?
I don't know. I don't know.
Look it up. Right when Prometheus 1 came out, my dad and I were talking, and he was like, yeah, it's not the same ship from Alien. And I was like, what the fuck's the point of the whole movie then? And then he just kind of like threw his hands in the air and said, I don't know.
Oh, what's the point of any movie?
I mean, okay, so it's a prequel, except it's doesn't show you how the ship got there. It just shows you how another ship that's similar got somewhere that's similar.
I don't know. I think prequels are better. Prequels are better the further away they are from the movies that they're set before.
I kind of think it's silly sometimes when you look at like Star Wars extended universe stuff, and it's like set 2,000 years before Anakin Skywalker is born.
Yeah, that's the good stuff because there's some distance.
Well, I mean, I guess it bothers me more there because it doesn't seem like there's any difference in the technology. Like in 2,000 years, they didn't advance a little.
Well,
there's still lightsabers and spaceships.
Because I think of Star Wars as a very stagnant society, and besides, you think of Star Wars as like I think of Star Wars as fantasy more than science fiction. So it's kind of like how in all fantasy novels, despite however long their history lasts, they don't have any technological advances. They're still farming. They still use swords. They're still all that. And that's the way I look at Star Wars. It's not science fiction. It's a fantasy.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's got space wizards. That was actually one of the inspirations for this one. You know, there's a lot of cool inspirations they took for this movie. Like, they of course, changed the tone very drastically, but, like, they,
Inertial dampers from Star Trek.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah.
And the music sounds like Star Trek. It's Jerry Goldsmith. Sounds like the first Star Trek movie.
I think the soundtrack for this movie took like a really long time to get an official release, and everyone was like kind of annoyed by it because they just wanted to get the soundtrack out. I could be wrong. I might be thinking of a different movie.
We're the soundtrack.
We're the soundtrack now.
Well, we are because we're talking
still
about
dropping.
The movie. Take her down.
So the message of this movie is: if you see a distress signal,
don't answer it.
Ignore it and just go away.
That's the theme of the mission. That's the theme of The Expanse too.
Just don't answer distress calls from space. Don't answer
distress signal, or everybody you know and love will die.
Isn't Sunshine also a movie that's an example of that?
It could be.
There's a lot of movies. They just don't answer distress calls, man. Just bad.
Yeah, and when you send out a distress call, just be happy that no one will answer you, so that they don't die. Are those Christmas lights on the bottom of the ship?
Wouldn't surprise me. They made the ship out of whatever they could find. This is a cool design. I mean, I like it. There's a lot of extra parts on there that I can't for the life of me tell you what that's for, but you know. I like how everyone has a fire extinguisher. Like everyone's station has an emergency helmet, a fire extinguisher, and I'm gonna guess some kind of hidden fire hose under their seat.
And a life jacket.
And yeah, if we crash into a water planet, put these on.
In the event of a water landing, reach under your seats and pull out the life jackets.
Your flotation devices.
Even though we're flying across the middle of America, just in case. Or in this case, space.
Oh, by the way, something else I wanted to tell you is that I think they said somewhere that the designs for the inside of the ship, like the hallways and stuff, were kind of based on like plane graveyards, you know, where they just threw out the husks and stuff. So it was all really dark and just like a lot of parts hanging out and, you know, panels just that have unknown use. So they were like, well, just make it look like that.
Why do you even need me on here? Because you know everything already.
Man, this is like the opposite of one of our podcasts where it's just kind of me like chatting jokes while you talk about actual things.
Well, I guess I'm not as big a fan of Alien as you are. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I watched the sequel, and I enjoyed it, but that's about it.
Hey, man, I mean, that's the thing, though, is I appreciate that you're here to enjoy it with me, you know? What's watching a good movie if you got no one to share it with? You know what I'm saying?
That's still watching a good movie.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Get out of here.
Okay.
It always kind of confused me. I don't know who exactly set up the transmission. Like, was it the space jockeys, or... I mean, did they turn on the signal to just mess with people?
Maybe there's an automatic signal that triggers when there's a certain level of damage, because, as you see in Prometheus, there's the stealth chip. There's the stasis pods. So
Yeah.
it's a long distance ship. So maybe it activates automatically.
I'm glad that you rewatched Prometheus yesterday, because you're gonna help me out with like, because I haven't watched that movie in like 3 years, so I'm a little fuzzy.
Yeah,
on details.
I never really watched it the whole way through until then, and I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing either. Like, it didn't have
Yeah.
sort of like the atmosphere and the tension of this movie. It didn't have the excitement and the character of 2, and it didn't really go all the way in this sort of philosophical origin questions that it was asking. So
it was just like kind of a hodgepodge of different Alien movies that came before it, but then didn't really like go all the way with any specific tone or idea.
I'm really interested to read what John Spaihts' original script was for Prometheus before Damon Lindelof was brought on to rewrite it. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's good, but I'd want to read it. Because original, like with Prometheus, first John Spaihts, because he got on the blacklist for passengers. He wrote a draft of Prometheus, and they said, "Oh, I like this, but I want to rewrite it. I'll bring on Damon Lindelof."
Oh,
Big mistake.
Yeah. What else has
he
Lindelof ruined recently?
He ruined Tomorrowland. He ruined Star Trek Into Darkness. He ruined Prometheus.
That guy is batting 1,000.
And he was also one of the lead writers for everybody's favorite show and everybody's favorite ending of a show, Lost.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Hey, by the way, those spacesuits they have were actually like so poorly ventilated that the cast kept passing out while trying to film these scenes.
Didn't Adam Savage make one? And
and then he almost passed out too.
In
like
Comic-Con.
Yeah, he was walking around
But then
Comic-Con.
again, I almost I always pass out in Comic-Con anyway.
I gotta say, I kind of relate, because that Isaac Clarke suit I made, like, when I'm wearing it at night and outdoors, it's fine, but if it, like, I wore it in a Comic-Con once, and, it was so, because it's nothing but foam and leather and a layer of clothes underneath of that, so I like, we had to pry it off of me because the whole inside was covered in sweat.
Speaking of which, I did get my tickets for Comic-Con, so I'm officially going.
Hey everyone, if you're going to Denver Comic Con 2017, go on Saturday, and maybe we could meet up and hang out.
And if you're watching this after that, then oh well.
Oh. Hello, people of the future who are watching this in 2018.
Was Justice League as bad as we all thought it was?
Was Wonder Woman as good as we all thought it was? What if it's the opposite, where Wonder Woman
was the Emoji Movie the surprisingly the sleeper hit of the summer?
Oh God, I don't want to live on a planet where the Emoji Movie makes its money back.
It's got Patrick Stewart in it, so I want to watch it just because it has Patrick Stewart in it.
That's how they get you. They cast someone who people like. He's fresh off of Logan. Oh my God, can you believe that kind of career move? He just did Logan and is following it up with the Emoji Movie. Complete opposite ends of the spectrum.
One of the finest performances of his film career, followed by playing poop.
Remember back when computers were nothing but ones and zeros? Oh yeah, there's a cat.
Hey, look, it's your cat.
My cat looks nothing like that. Although I used to have a cat who looked like that, but I gave him away to an old lady whose husband died and she was lonely. He was named Simba. I kind of miss him.
An old lady named Ripley?
No. I'm kind of waiting for that old lady to pass away so I can take that cat back.
What if it dies before then?
That would suck, because that's a really cool cat.
You know who's a really cool cat? Not you.
Cool cat? I really like how these scenes are shot because they don't have to build really complicated sets. I mean, you do a couple matte paintings for the establishing shots, and then, you know, maybe some models, and then, you know, you could just have the rest so clouded in smoke that all the close-up shots, you can't even really tell where they are.
Man, the sets of Prometheus were so intricate by comparison.
Yeah, I mean, there's something kind of simple about it here, just because, you know, there's not a lot you can do back in this time period, and I think the reason, I mean, I'm not one of those guys who says that movies suck today by comparison, but I think there's just kind of like not as much love put into them, because with CGI you can do literally anything. Like, the sky's the limit. Really, the only thing that's holding you back is budget at that point. But back then, there was just stuff that you couldn't have in a movie because, like, there's no way the effects could support it and make it look real. So you had to figure out all kinds of corners and how to cut those corners, you know, and, you know, make those sacrifices.
If you ask me, one thing that I miss is models. Like, not spaceship models, because CGI spaceships look so much better than model spaceships.
But like this.
Cities.
Like,
cities.
Model
cities. Like,
sets
when they
and
had
props.
Batman, the city is a model, and it looks so good. But when you see, like
so super intricate.
New Batman movies, it's just generic helicopter footage of Chicago.
Yeah, it's just, here's Chicago Gotham.
Chicago Gotham.
Look at this. Look how cool that looks. Like, there's just something kind of... I like how they implied where they were in that shot by just putting, like, 3 little dots moving very slightly at the bottom.
Are you a dot?
I'm a dot. Hey, something else that I also thought was cool is that in order to make their sets look bigger, they actually had little kids come in little versions of the spacesuits walking around next to these sets, so they looked even bigger. And
Why do you remember all of this?
Well, it's because I watched this movie a whole bunch of times, and I've also read all the trivia pages I can find on it, and I watched a documentary making of once.
Loser.
Yeah. I think actually 2 of them were Ridley Scott's kids, and they also passed out wearing the spacesuits, and then at that point they were like, alright, fuck it, we gotta, like, put a vent in there. Like,
hey, remember when...
have to make it so that the actors stop dying in these things.
Hey, remember when Ridley Scott's son made Morgan and nobody liked it?
I don't remember that.
He did. Starring everybody's favorite Sue Storm from Fan Four Stick.
Oh yeah, Kate Mara. So I'm sure, everyone's heard about H.R. Geiger's designs, right? Like, we don't need to even really talk about that. Yeah, no, that's like one of the most iconic things about this movie. Everyone's talked about it to death. Yes, he designed the whole thing to look organic, and everything looks vaguely like a rib cage or a vagina or a penis or some combination thereof. Yeah, right? So,
and it looks weird and creepy, but yeah, cool. You know, I liked in this scene how they didn't explain anything, and that's kind of like why Prometheus was a little bit disappointing, was because asking questions
explain all this, and then it was just kind of disappointing.
Is a lot more interesting than giving answers to that. Like, you can't, like, force-feeding answers to your questions is kind of why it's pretty hard to take the original movies seriously anymore, because the prequels have ruined them for me.
Yeah. So, you know, I always thought, looking at this thing, because I think the first time I saw this movie, and it was like 2007, and then a whole bunch of times after that, but I always thought the space jockey here was some kind of skeleton, and I guess everyone else did too. Some kind of big, weird skeleton. Like, I pictured some kind of, like, less sluggish Jabba the Hutt monster, like something very, like, obese, sitting there, like, in this weird pilot chair, right? Just based on how like
last year
body is shaped, you know. But then I guess according to Prometheus, that's some kind of like flight interface, like that's all metal plates that attach.
That's a suit that's also got a dead like corpse.
There's a skeleton inside there. Like, look how organic and bony that looks.
Or maybe as I recall in Prometheus, the suit only covers the top. Like, there's a helmet and, like, something on his arms, but everything below that is just the person's suit and its body. So maybe all that stuff decayed, and then everything above that is the suit.
But, like, look at the helmet there. It looks like it still has the same texture. It just looks like a fucked up skeleton.
Who knows how long this person has been there? So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
I don't know.
According to Prometheus, all the stuff with the engineers happened like when the dawn of man happened. Huh. So, assuming that is some kind of metal exterior shell for the space albino man,
like a decayed sort of rubbery metally suit.
Then you and I came to the conclusion that the only way the chest burster would have been able to get out of there is if it had like self-harmed to get like acid on the metal. Which I guess I'll buy that, since that's a thing they also do in some of the other movies. Hold on, I actually have a quote pulled up here from one of the guys from the art department named Ron Cobb. And it says, his explanation of what happened to the space jockeys. At some point, a cataclysm causes the extermination of the adults in this unique race, leaving no one to tend and nurture the young. I'm assuming he's talking about the aliens here. The xenomorph, which is technically not a correct name. But anyway, in a dark lower chamber of the breeding temple, a large number of eggs lie dormant waiting to sense something warm. Years later, the space jockey race comes to this planetoid. The jockeys are on a mission of exploration and archaeology, and they are fascinated by this marvelous temple of unknown culture. One of them finds the egg chamber and gets face-hugged. He's rescued.
So what you're saying is that this is the temple right here.
Yeah, because this looks even different from what we saw upstairs. So, like, this... I guess the original idea was that this section here was created by xenomorphs somehow. But anyway, it says that the jockey that got face-hugged was rescued, but no one knows what happened to him. They take him back to their ship and continue the exploration of the planet's surface. When the chest burster erupts from the jockey, it goes on a killing rampage until it is shot and killed. The alien dies, but immediately decomposes, and its acid eats through the hull of the jockey ship, leaving them stranded on the planet. The jockeys radio out a message that there is a dangerous parasite on the planet, that nothing can be done to save them in time, and that no one should attempt to rescue. Then the jockeys slowly starve to death. I guess there's just a bunch of skeletons somewhere on this ship that we don't see. Although, maybe they blend in because everything looks like a skeleton.
And it's also really dark, so you don't need to have too much set dressings.
Do you know that the blue lights in here were borrowed from a show from The Who? Because they were actually, like, I think they were recording something, like, next door in a different studio.
I think this was shot in like Pinewood, I think, in England.
Yeah, I think so.
Like the pretty famous thingy.
So something I like about a lot of the props in this movie is that they're, in order to get a really organic feel, a lot of it was like real animal intestines and shit. Oh, by the way, also they filmed the egg upside down, and that's why it looks like the goo was dripping up there.
Why did they film it upside down?
I don't know. I know why it makes sense in a later shot, but for here it's just like, what? I have no idea. What a cool ass design. Do you know our HR Geiger had? He had the designs for the facehuggers like in his luggage, and when he was trying to get across the plane, like a plane, customs pulled him over and were like, "What the hell is this? This is horrible." And then one of the writers of the movie had to come out and explain that it's designs for their horror movie.
So how did he get through the helmet, or did
acid?
But if there's no atmosphere out here, how did he survive?
Well, because I assume by the time the alien had melted through it, it also got its little thingamajig down his throat and kind of like create a vacuum seal.
But does that still allow him to breathe?
Yes, because the facehugger actually, they explain it in a second, has organs that are designed to help like regulate what's going on with the host. So those like little sacs on the side of it are like secondary sets of lungs that help it process air.
So,
because the whole point is to keep the host alive.
If the blood of these things are acidic, why is it bleeding?
I'm not sure. I think there's like blood inside of the in the eggs. You know, I mean, when you pull a fresh babby out, it's covered in a lot of fluids. I feel like a more modern movie would have this situation last like 20 minutes of them arguing about whether or not to get him on the ship.
Or in the case of Life, have them shouting.
Yeah, everyone would be shouting.
Like, remember that scene in the trailer for Life? No, there's a person dying in there!
No, but we can't let it infect the whole station. You're crazy. And then
there was the bit in Prometheus where Charlize Theron just burns the people because he was infected. Just,
yeah,
you're dead now.
Charlize Theron would have been a lot simpler if they just. I like this weird little tool that they use to cut his helmet open. I'm like, what? Why the fuck would you have some kind of surgical tool that could cut through like metal and like bulletproof glass?
Who knows?
Who are you doing surgery on? Luke Cage?
Yes.
Yeah, you could see like the fluids all over the glass there, like it I guess seeped its way through. They were originally gonna paint it green, but I guess someone on the set was like, you know, it's kind of creepy now that it's just flesh tones, so just leave it like that. So since the alien or the facehugger here is sort of like I guess it's a metaphor for rape. They actually wanted to turn sort of like genre sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Cliches on their head.
Tropes.
By, yeah, tropes. That's exactly. By going against the idea that women are easy targets for monsters and stuff. So they were very adamant that whoever the victim of the facehugger was a male. Because they also wanted to have the male audience feel a little bit more uncomfortable with this idea of, like, forced alien impregnation, because it could happen to anybody.
Except for you.
Yeah. No, I just do that thing from the Alien vs. Predator game where I catch the facehugger and then just throw it on the ground, and it's like, oh.
No, I'm just saying that they wouldn't go after you in the first place.
Are you saying I'm not pretty enough to get face-hugged?
Yep.
I'm sure there's someone out there that would like to implant their embryos in my chest cavity.
Nope.
Oh. Yeah, you see there? They actually interviewed a lot of people to direct this film, and one of the guys they brought on, they were like, so what are you going to do for the facehugger design?
What do you mean interviewed?
Well, because, like, the studio was like, who are we going to get to direct this? We need to find someone who's, like, passionate about it. And one guy that they brought on, I can't remember his name, but they asked him, well, like, how he would do the facehugger design. He said, just put a bunch of entrails on his face. It's not like the audience is going to remember what the critter looks like after they leave the theater. And they immediately were like, all right, get the fuck out. And then Ridley Scott was like, well, I try to make sure it's, like, memorable and cool. I really like this scene. This is just, like, such a unique problem. Like, I don't think anything's... Has any Star Trek episode, like, one of the original series ones, or some other such sci-fi show, done the concept of, we have acid in the ship, and we gotta stop it before it burns us, burns through the hull and kills us all?
Well, in Star Trek, at least the Next Generation onwards, they have force fields. So...
Yeah, right?
That's not been too much of a concern as long as they have power. But I remember
Thank
there
God
was...
this ship has so many floors. Like, if it were like the International Space Station and it was... Like, they'd be dead in seconds. Like, shit.
There was the one moment in Star Trek Voyager when the Voyager was caught in an asteroid storm, and it was just like, the shields have failed, it's grinding down the hull, we need to get out of here before it causes more damage.
What are you?
So that's like the thing that I can think of.
Yeah.
It was a pointy thing.
I think yeah.
Molecular acid isn't a thing.
It is. It is the thing. Yeah, so I think
it's not a type of acid.
I'm not sure what type of acid it is. It's just
like
magic sci-fi acid that can melt through whatever.
Like, molecular acid isn't a type of acid, so it isn't a thing.
It's a fictional acid, much
like
how
a molecule
is
a single. Like, a molecule is the smallest unit of a compound. So,
yeah,
every single type of acid is a molecule by definition. So saying molecular acid doesn't make any sense. It's like
I'll chalk
George
that
Lucas.
Up to just it's a bunch of truckers who don't know anything about science, so they're just like throwing
This
out
is
terms.
But that's but the guy with the beard is the smart one.
That's true.
So he's the intelligent one, so he should know. And besides, you need a science officer on your ship.
Well, I mean that's what Ash
for
and
this
Dr.
exact
Man are
purpose.
there for. Hey, do you know all the handheld camera work in this was done by Ridley Scott himself? Like, he was the one holding the camera for all the handheld
The Steadicam? Steadicam is so cool.
What?
Steadicam, this is like in the 70s when Steadicam just started being a thing, where there's like this rig you can buy called Steadicam. It's like a giant thing that you can hold like a camera to make handheld photography less shaky, and like everybody was experimenting with it in the 70s because it was just new. Like Brian De Palma was experimenting with it too.
Hey, I think, I mean, it's a little hard to see there, but I think there's the Wayland logo above the computer screen.
So
there.
it's the Guy Pearce Company.
Yeah. Guy Pearce and old man makeup. Now, I have a question about that. CGI. Like, does that make the AVP movies non-canon? Because I think the guy Wayland appears in those movies too, like the first one, and he's played by Lance Henriksen. The guy.
I think everybody wants those movies to be non-canon. Like Alien versus Predator sounds like fan fiction, to be honest.
Well, it kind of was. The whole idea started because in Alien 2, at one point, one of the characters accidentally finds his way onto the Predator ship and starts exploring it. And there's like a rack of skulls that the Predator had collected from previous victims, and one of them was designed to look like the Xenomorph skull as a sort of like tribute.
Fun Easter egg.
Yeah, it was just a fun Easter egg. And then everyone went nuts and was like, does that mean these are in the same universe? Can the aliens fight predators? And then they did a comic series.
That would be very tonally inconsistent.
Well, yeah. I think it has worked.
I've read a couple of people online talk about how there's might be more of a connection between a Blade Runner and Alien because the robot angle between
like
both
Ash's,
of them.
Well, okay, so like
and also like maybe they took place in the same universe, but just in different times.
Cool. Like Bishop is technically a replicant because they don't show a whole lot of how replicants work. Really, like they just say they're just humans that are synthetic.
Like that.
They don't show the insides.
Those movies aesthetically and tonally have a lot more in common than Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Predator and Predators do with Alien.
Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't the Predator. He fought the Predator.
I don't care.
Okay. Come on, what are you waiting for? Do it now, kill me. There's the return of Xavier's bad Arnold Schwarzenegger impression.
Do it now from the podcast.
Do it now. Go check out that podcast, everybody. It's a mess.
Yeah, I'm surprised. The Subject to Change 3 is doing really well.
How many views is that at?
I think it cracked to 200, or it's very close to. Let's see. Of course, the one on your channel is obviously the most viewed.
Yeah, well, you know.
Let's see.
Everyone had to go check and see the first minute and then go, yeah, this isn't for me.
In about a week, it did 242. In 20 hours, the third one has done 212. So thanks for watching. If you watched it,
Diego Rivera, that guy actually watches all of our like videos, like even the long running boring ones he watches.
Like this one.
Yeah. Hey Diego.
If you're watching,
if you're guy, I hope your Spawn review comes out soon. I'm very excited for it.
If you're not, then oh well, whatever.
Your costume.
It's weird for everybody else.
Cool. Yeah, I'm like addressing directly a single audience member. Maybe I should do that more often. Hey, that one guy
just
whose
call
Twitter
out random people on Twitter
labeled as Dogface Dog. I think your Spider-Man cosplays are really cool, and I'm glad that you're around to like do the suits that I don't want to do, like the more like urban-looking ones with like the, you know, the suits are more like made of like t-shirts and like sports equipment and stuff, while I'm like all about the spandex and making my suit as like comic accurate as possible.
You're a spandex guy.
Yeah,
hello,
I am
John
a spandex guy.
Are you dead yet? You're a spandexter. You know Poindexter? You're spandexter.
Spandexter. That's I don't know why, but that sounds like overtly sexual.
I have no idea why.
I love how just quiet these scenes are. Like,
That's what I was saying earlier.
I would hate for this to be like remade, like a modern version of this that would just have like dun 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 dun
And even the same director, 30, 40 years later, has even Ridley Scott, because he's still working and he's still making alien movies. They're a bit less quiet than they used to be in the 70s.
There's just something more like tense about a scene where it's like just no score. It's just here's how the scene looks for the characters. They're not hearing music.
I've also noticed that like a lot of like anime movies, like Japanese anime, at least from what I've watched, and a lot of foreign film like from France and stuff, they don't use scores like modern American movies do. They don't use them as much.
There's a little bit of an over-reliance on scores.
In American movies, it's a distinctly American thing. Like foreign films, like Japanese anime and French cinema. At least that's the foreign films that I watch. They don't do it as much. Like if you watch Delicatessen, there isn't that much soundtrack in there really. Delicatessen is such a good thing.
Something I forgot to mention earlier. When the facehugger initially jumps out of the pod. Oh man, that's cool. It was actually shot upside down, and someone was using the prop like a hand puppet and just thrust their hand forward at the camera. Just so it gave like a better forward momentum than like, because they couldn't figure out how to make it launch out of the pod if it was on the ground. Oh, by the way, I think they actually used a bunch of real animal parts to make this. Like, they just got like. Let me look for it. It was like sheep intestines or something were used for this. Yeah, it was made using fresh shellfish, oysters, and a sheep kidney for the lower half of the facehugger there. Like, they wanted to make sure, like, it looked real, you know? This was back in the time when everyone got really crazy about making sure stuff looked real, you know, because you couldn't just CGI it. So, you know, then you have crazy people.
70s were interesting.
Yeah.
Because, like, the 70s were a really crappy decade in general, but in terms of movies, it was really good because, like
because everyone had
French
to start
New
thinking outside the
Wave
box.
was in the 60s. And then all the people who were inspired by French New Wave came in and made interesting movies. Ridley Scott, George Lucas was good in the 70s.
Yeah. THX 1138.
Steven Spielberg, Brian De Palma, all those people. And like in the 60s, movies were just bleeding money because of TV. But the 70s they fought back. The 80s they did. Schwarzenegger
then it became like
and the
bodybuilders
bodybuilders took over.
After like Jaws came out, and then everyone was like, "Holy shit, you have to see this movie, right?"
Mm-hmm.
And then Star Wars like amplified that by 1 billion. So it's just like every movie needed to have this whole blockbuster effect of it's like it needs to get good word of mouth and get everyone super hype and have cool trailers. It's not just like this casual thing where you walk into a theater and just watch a movie, like whatever's there. It's like it became more of a big fanfare filled event, and I like that.
And we need to have luxury so we can be in comfort while we're watching our movies instead of just sitting for a couple hours.
Yeah.
I hate luxury loungers. I can never get comfortable in them.
Are you talking about like at the that movie theater by the mall that has like the
no, it's just small, like because like the theater by my house
armchairs instead of normal chairs where they're like leather and have cup holders.
Like the Cinemark theater by my house that I usually go to, it's they just upgraded their seats to these luxury loungers, and I saw Guardians of the Galaxy in them on Sunday, and they were it's just so hard to get comfortable in them because the you can extend your legs out, but you can't lean back. So it's just sort of like sticking your legs out or sitting in a kind of hard armchair.
Yeah.
I don't like them. Like, I prefer the old seats.
I
You
do
can
too,
lean back a
actually.
little bit, and that makes you a lot more comfortable than the kicking your seats forward. But kicking your
What's
seats
your
forward
take
is
on those
cooler because
seats
you
where
can press a button.
the part under your butt folds up if you're not sitting in it, so you have to push it down to get it to...
Yeah, those are better. I prefer those.
Yeah.
But the luxury seats are better for big fat American butts.
You know, there's actually a sex scene in here between Ripley and one of the other characters. Because, like, the idea was that they're very casual about it. Like, they don't really care, you know? It's just, we're in space for a long time. You want to just get your rocks off? And it was written in the script. But then I guess Ridley Scott decided against it, but then he brought it back in Prometheus.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was really weird. But it kind of makes more sense for that character, because Vickers, or whatever it is, played by Charlize Theron, is kind of like a horrible person. So it kind of makes sense that she just sort of thinks of sex as something trivial.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's go do it. I still hate you, but let's go do it because it makes me feel good. Like, that seems like something she would do, and not something that Prometheus Ripley would do.
Or like Shaw, yeah.
Prometheus Ripley.
I didn't realize how much people liked the main character of Prometheus after the fact, because as soon as they said Alien Covenant won't have her, everyone's like, where's Shaw? I couldn't even remember her name until everyone started yelling about how much they missed her. And I was like, are you kidding? She's just...
I remember she had a weird accent, but that's about it. It's like they were supposed to
remember that she wasn't Ripley.
They were supposed to be making an angle of how he's like she's a sort of like, she still believes in God and everything, but they still didn't really make her a very interesting character. Also, fun trivia for this spaghetti scene. My mom told me that she would not eat spaghetti for like a month after she saw this movie in theaters.
Nice.
Like, you'll know what
your parents are like. They probably saw this in the theater right when it came out.
They saw this in the theater, like, they were she was in college, I think, like late 70s, like 79.
Yeah, because my parents are like really, well, okay, one of my parents is like really, really young, so my mom was born the year this movie came out.
My mom was in like, I think she was at college at this point, I think. Like, I think she was the class of 82.
Oh boy, here it goes.
She was in college.
Here we go.
Yeah, this scene.
I love this scene. I like how Ash, of course, just the first couple of seconds, he's just kind of analyzing it, just like he's doing his telescopic eye thing.
You know what would be a really cool like Easter egg to put in like Alien Covenant if they want to connect Blade Runner and Alien?
What?
Is if they do the thing in the eyes with David, like the thing that they have the eyes in Blade Runner, where if it catches the light the right way, replicant eyes don't quite look like human ones.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so the reason everyone freaks out so bad and, like, paused there is because, I mean, they knew the scene was going to happen, but they weren't told how much blood there was going to be and where it was going to be shooting out. All these reactions are real.
Well, not quite real, but I mean, more
like,
authentic.
Like, yeah. Everyone's, like, freak out at the blood was, you know, for the most part real.
More authentic. They're like...
In fact, I think actually they cut out the part where the actress who played Lambert, like, actually, like, threw herself on the ground, like, freaking out and, like, crying. And I think they cut that out in editing, but that was something in there.
You know, here's an example where I think that, like, CG would be better. With the little tiny one. I think CG would make that thing look a lot more interesting.
Yeah, because the way it was done there, it was just like someone under the table dragging it.
It doesn't really move in a very interesting way.
If it slithered like a snake, it would look cool.
Yeah, like that's where CG would work better, is with like little details like that. That's where I think that CG would be really cool.
Yeah.
Like
So
like
actually,
the penis snake in Prometheus. That
the
looked
chest
cool.
bursting thing was actually
dumb idea.
done in one take, but they just filmed it from 4 angles. I love when you hear stories about like accidental one takes. Like, holy shit, I can't believe we did that quick.
Well, I prefer 2 takes because 2 takes breaks.
2 takes breaks. I like this weird like space Viking funeral they give him.
A spiking funeral?
Yeah. This ship is so big.
It's bigger than you are. Hey, I can see my house from here.
So, I really like the game Alien Isolation. Because it actually, like, has, sort of, like the ship in that game is modeled directly after this one, except it actually lets you explore more of it. So, this one looks like a small city, kind of, but you get to see a lot more of it than just, like, only the cruise quarters.
So is Alien Isolation a sequel to this, or a prequel to Aliens? Or is it just a midquel?
It's a midquel? I don't know, man. I really like it, though, because it just kind of adds it just adds a little bit to the lore of the whole thing. I think, because it actually shows what happens to the ship with the space jockeys after these guys find it. And also shows, like, the fallout of, everyone finding the flight recorder from this ship and everything.
Roll
and
credits.
Learning what happened to this crew. What's cool is that they got the entire cast to come back to do voices for their characters from this movie in Alien Isolation, because one of the extra missions was you can play as Ripley, Parker, or Dallas, and reenact a scene from the movie. Yes. So yeah, it was a scene from the movie where they're going to go look for the alien. I think it's coming up right here in just a second. And you can kind of change it to a non-canon version of the scene where you play as Ripley instead, going through this scene that we're gonna see here in a second. It's after this.
Okay. So which one is better, Alien or Aliens?
Honestly, I think it's apples to oranges, just because tonally they're so all over the place. They're way different, I think they complement each other nicely, but I don't think they really.
Think about it. Which one did you enjoy more?
Maybe I enjoyed Aliens more just because it's more silly and crazy and in your face and fun.
Well, here's the one reason I prefer Aliens to Alien. Character. There are finally characters instead of just people doing things.
Yeah, and a lot of them are really memorable too. I really love Hudson.
They're developed.
Love you too, Dad. I'm gonna have to edit that out. What? But yeah, Hudson's a great character. I'm so sad that Bill Paxton died.
I don't know who he is, so I don't really care.
He is the one man who got killed by a predator, an alien, and a Terminator.
That means nothing to me.
Come on, he was a
even
cool
though I've
actor
seen Terminator and Alien.
Did you see the very first Terminator?
I've seen Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Terminator 4, and Terminator 5.
Okay. In the very first one, he's that guy that Arnold Schwarzenegger bumps into, right at the very beginning. The guy, I think he has a blue mohawk.
I don't remember him.
The guy that the Terminator beat up and stole clothes from in that one.
The only reason to remember that character is because it's played by an actor that you know, and I don't really care about the actor, so I don't know the character.
Yeah, you're right. I'm eating some chicken right now.
What?
Chicken tenders.
Why?
Because why not?
Because you need a balanced diet with not just chicken in it. You know how your mom said that tofu causes cancer? Well, good luck with your arteries.
If I'm gonna die eating fried chicken.
Ugh. Tofu is way better for you than fried chicken. Just so you know.
Yeah, well, water is better for you than soda.
That's why I'm not drinking soda right now.
I'm drinking a giant Dr. Pepper thing, because I got food from Arby's. Hear that ice shaking around in the cup?
No, actually, I don't. Actually, I lied. I'm not drinking water. I'm drinking a nice cup of Celestial Seasonings mint tea.
Hey, did you hear that? All the people on this ship aren't weirdos who refer to animals as it. They say, I'll go get him.
It.
I know you consider it a lesser life form, but it is still a person, kind of. Well, no, it's... I mean, I'm not one of those PETA folks, but I do love animals.
They don't have rights.
I love them. They don't have thumbs, and they're tiny, and they're just so innocent. Animals don't have nuclear weapons.
And they don't have the right to express their religious beliefs however they want.
I bet my cat's a Scientologist. He just can't tell me.
You can prevent him from being one if you want him to, because they don't have the right to express freedom of religion.
Oh. Damn. Once you think about it, being a cat is kind of hard. You can't play video games, and you just see the Constitution ignores your existence entirely.
You can't play video games is a good thing. I spend way too much time playing video games, so if I couldn't, then I wouldn't waste the time. Oh, hey, we're watching a movie, remember?
Yeah.
They're looking for the alien or the cat, right?
They're looking for the cat.
Why are they giant bullet-looking things? Why do they have the giant bullet-looking things?
I don't think I ever researched exactly what the hell they were carrying on this ship. I just remember there was a lot of, like, junk cargo all over the place.
It's like a mining ship, I thought.
Hey, check that out. Gooey.
Oh, it's got face sweat, like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me of a story. Shit, I forget her name. Sigourney Weaver, yeah. The stuff that they sprayed to make it look like fake sweat, because, the insides of spaceships are actually supposed to be kind of hot, just because, like, there's not really any ventilation.
Especially with all this industrial stuff here.
Yeah. So, for all the fake sweat they had to pour on the actors, instead of, like, just doing water, they just, like, poured some kind of chemical on them, So that would persist and not, like, drip or dry quickly. And, Sigourney Weaver had, like, a really serious reaction, like, her skin got all itchy and rashy
Allergic reaction to it?
And she thought she was reacting to the cat, and she was like, you should probably recast me, because I can't be around the cat, and that's, like, a plot integral thing. So, maybe I shouldn't do the movie. And then they found out that it was the other thing, and they're like, oh, thank God. Hey, you know who else almost got the role of Ripley?
Catherine Waterston?
Meryl Streep. Could you imagine that version of this movie?
Man, Meryl Streep has had an interesting career. Most Oscar nominations of any person. What if that water was acid right now?
Where's that water coming from? Is there a fucked up pipe up there?
Yeah, I noticed that it's beading on his skin. It's not like flowing down, it's beading. So that must be the chemical.
Yeah.
It's like... if there's something on your skin that's preventing, like, water from just flowing on there, it'll just sort of bead up. Because of surface tension and chemical stuff like that. Oh, wait, I remember. You barely passed chemistry.
I think it's called glycerin.
Glycerin? Oh, yeah. If it's like a fat or if it's like a carbohydrate, I think it would definitely beat up.
Yeah, look at that thing.
That's what I think is really cool. That's what I think is a really... I love when movies do, like, juxtaposition, where they put two different things in a shot at the same time. That's really cool. Foreground, background. I love when people play with that.
Yeah.
How did it grow that quickly?
I don't know.
That's
it's got like a really weird lifespan. It grows super fast.
That's the question that I've always wondered. Like, how did it get all the food to grow that big? Like, it didn't eat anyone. So how did it grow that big?
Maybe it just, like, sucked vital fluids out of Kane.
But
he seemed fine right up until the chest burst, so you feel like
not that many
if it
vital
was, like,
fluids.
eating his organs inside of him, he'd have a worse reaction than he did. He only seemed to feel really shitty about it for, like, 2 minutes before dying.
Yeah, especially if it grew that quickly. I mean, like if you're in the stomach, then you could be like eating the food.
Oh man, I think he just ripped a hole in my sock. Man, cats are weird.
You are weird.
Okay, so I just got a new cat that's 7 weeks old, and he's the most hyper thing I've ever seen. He keeps attacking my leg. Like, ow, ow, stop, ow. So something that's cool about the alien's biology is that it's, like, designed to adapt to, like, any environment, so it doesn't really matter what the air is. Like, it takes traits from the host species to form so that it can adjust to their environment better. So, like, the reason it breathes our oxygen is because it's actually partially made of, like, Kane's DNA. And later in, like, Alien 3, they have the alien grow inside of a dog, and it has all kinds of different traits. I think it has extra limbs and fur growing out of it. Although I think there was actually an original version of that scene where it grew inside of, like, a buffalo or something.
I still haven't seen Alien 3, and I don't really intend to.
I can't say I blame you for that. It's not really...
I'm not a big enough a fan to torture myself for this franchise.
Because, like, the good movies are really good, but then the bad movies are really bad.
It's like, I'm enough of a fan of Star Trek that I have tortured myself to watch the bad Star Trek movies, but I'm not going to watch the bad Alien movies.
That's fair.
Stop talking with your mouth full of food. Oh yeah, this is important stuff. What are my chances? Oh yeah, we're gonna learn about.
So yeah, he's asking the ship's AI mother exactly what they think they should do.
And of course, Mother's not being completely honest with them.
I kind of think it's interesting that they have a sort of HAL 9000 going on just in the background of their slasher movie in space. Like, the ship's AI is, like, intentionally fucking with them and, like, leading them on the wrong path, but in the end, they kind of really don't have, like, a say in that or, do anything about it. It's just like, yeah, can't trust that AI. It's kind of ruining everything. Oh yeah, so this scene in Alien Isolation's bonus missions, it might be a DLC. You can play as him, or you can play as Parker or Ripley and go through this scene where he's running around trying to close down parts of the ship and stuff. Basically, what they're doing is they're trying to quarantine the alien into one spot near an airlock by just going to different sections and then, like, sealing the vents. And what's cool is that the novelization of the movie and the game both have a different version of it where the character, Because
Why
the
did you
scene
read
plays
the
out.
Did you read the novelization?
No, I just read the cliff notes from it to see what was different.
Why?
I do that sometimes. I want to see what like they add.
Why do you read cliff notes?
Well, I mean, I don't have time to read everything. I mean, I read like 90 comic books a day. I need to be able to like manage my time.
That's because your comic books are not real books. Just kidding.
Whoa, taking a hardline stance.
They're easier to read though.
Well, I just like that.
I find that when I'm reading a
visual
comic book, I don't really pay
medium that
attention
you
as
can
much as when I'm
digest
reading a
really
regular book.
quickly. Okay, so go back and isolate the audio for both of those sentences, and you'll get something interesting from both of us.
No, you're doing that.
I'm not putting subtitles for this, man.
Yes, I've got it. Where?
Okay, so we are synced up because you said that at the exact moment that the subtitle popped up on my screen. Because I'm watching this with the audio kind of low.
Yeah. Like, compared to you, the audio in mine is pretty low, too. Must have been pretty claustrophobic filming with the flame in a tight space.
Oh, God, yeah.
I would be so scared that I'd just burn myself with it.
I mean, look at how big that flame is. Like, if that catches your clothes, you're done.
And, like, basically their version of the Jeffries tube from Star Trek. Yeah, this is their Jeffries tube.
I think this
one is way
more unsettling. Like, because it's kind of like this weird, annoying
It's because it's dark. It's just because it's dark.
There's a lot more, like,
makes
shit
no
hanging
sense
out of the walls. Like, wires and, like, you know, like, pointy things.
It also makes no sense that it's just dark because if you're like, these are maintenance sections, right? Where you're gonna want to go in and fix things, right?
Well, I imagine that on a ship this size, the reason the lights are so low is because it would be like hard to power. Like,
but can't you light up the section that you're in as you go?
That would be cool, like a spaceship. Or wait, no. Actually, I think there's a. What am I thinking of? Alien Isolation has that, where parts of the ship light up based on where you are in them.
Mm-hmm.
Which actually helps attract the alien to you because it can just follow which part of the room is lit up. Like, there's this whole labyrinth of hallways in one section, and everywhere you go, the lights just keep popping on and turning off as soon as you get far enough away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also use it to figure out where the alien is because it follows it around too.
Beep, 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 beep.
This is a cool scene.
You know, I think it's to their advantage that they show less of this in this less of the alien in this movie than they do in the newer movies. But that's probably because they didn't have the budget and the costume didn't look that great in certain lighting and certain conditions.
Yeah. Well, they also had a really hard time filling out the costume. They had to find some guy named I actually got
some idiot.
I had to get it here like written down so I would remember. It's Bolaji.
You have notes for this?
Badejo. Yeah, I actually took some notes for stuff
I don't.
Well, you know, you're prepared for the podcast. I'm prepared for this. But yeah,
but the podcast
so they found
matters.
some Nigerian guy in a bar who was like a graphic designer who was like 6'10", and they were like, "Hey, you're really skinny and lanky and tall. You want to be in our Alien movie?" And then he took like, I think he took like mime and Tai Chi lessons to learn how to slow down his movements so he would like not look weird in the costume. Like the idea was to get him to look as little like a guy in a suit as possible, and I think they did a pretty.
But he
good
still
job.
looks like a guy in a suit.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's the suit. You know what? The suits in Aliens are amazing. Like, there's so many of them on screen at once, and they all move in such a really specific and cool looking way.
The nice thing about, although I do think that the CGI aliens in the new movie do look cooler because they have a more free range of motion. Like, if you're a guy in a suit, you can't move. You can't really, like, move like a real animal will. You like if you're a CG puppet, then it can do whatever the animator wants it to. So it can look like a real animal will, which
I
I
guess
think is
the
cool.
goal is always just to get this to look as close to a real animal as possible. You know.
So we're not anti CGI. I don't know
No,
about
I
Xavier
agree with
here,
you. I think that
but I've just
as
been
cool
pointing
as
out
the
a couple
suit
examples
is,
where
it just
work
doesn't
better.
move the right way. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually, I think parts of the alien's face were made of like ripped up condoms, just so they could get it to look all stretchy and rubbery.
Mm-hmm. Mother knows best.
Do you know the game Predator Concrete Jungle actually gives an
No.
origin to Mother? Where it says it was like...
We don't need an origin to Mother.
Well, no, because it takes place like 100 years... Actually, I think it takes place in like 2030 something. And it shows that Mother was like originally some kind of a person that was like trying to extend her life through technology. And she was like kind of like in a sort of Bacta tank kind of thing. And the reason like technology jumped forward so much from like the 2000s up until this movie, because this takes place in like 21 something is because actually predators, like one of the predators fucked up his mission and left a whole bunch of his technology lying around, and humankind just reverse engineered it and then like shot everything forward like a couple centuries in terms of their ability to like design space stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's kind
Science
of weird
officer
dumb,
eyes
but...
only. This is their HAL 9000 moment.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ripley, but I'm afraid I can't do that.
Gather specimen. Ensure return of organism for analysis.
Yeah, so the DLC mission for Alien Isolation is called Crew Expendable. Wonder how many buttons she pressed by slamming him into the wall just there.
A lot of those aren't buttons, they're just lights.
There's future happening in this room. So the novelization has the scene. I can't remember if it's the novelization or just the game. It might be both, but one of them has an alternate telling with the scene where he's in the vent with the flamethrower skulking around, where he actually does get the whole section closed off and gets the alien herded into the airlock, and they're about to blast it out into space, but then the hatch doesn't close, and they don't let it close, for the sake of keeping him alive.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like kind of implied that Ash sabotaged that, and it was him who did it, because as soon as the alien ends up running out of there, Ash walks up and goes, "Oh wow, that's unfortunate. I guess we're gonna have to figure out a different way to get rid of it." I think this is one of the most off-putting and disturbing scenes of the movie. Like, there's just something really weird and specific about this thing that he does.
Mm-hmm. Hello, evil Bilbo.
Like, hey, look, I think there's nudity on that poster in the background. Yeah, there sure is.
So if they make an eventual remake of this movie, Will Martin Freeman play this character?
Yes, Ash should be played by Martin Freeman in the Alien remake. And you know what? Ripley should be played by The Rock. Because he seems to be in the business of ruining things now. What the fuck? Like, he rolls up a magazine and tries to shove it down her throat. Like, that's just so weird. Like, is that a thing that someone did at some point? Oh, Parker's boob. God, dude. That looked awesome.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Mr. Robot. Isn't that a TV show, Mr. Robot?
They did a really good job of getting, like, you know, between puppet and person. Like, they just did a really good job of hiding the difference here. It's all about editing. Or if you believe that theory, he's a replicant.
You're a replicator.
I like how passive and casual this is played off later when Bishop, who is like even more humanoid and believable, is talking about this, and he's like, yeah, those older models sure were jumpy. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Look at this guy. Okay, so there's this cool lore thing in Alien Isolation where, because of androids like Ash here, because Isolation takes place 15 years after this, androids like him scared the hell out of everyone. So there's a second company that became like a competitor who designed robots that specifically looked shittier and more like plastic and fake, just so like, you know. Because you always want to tell if someone's a robot. You don't want someone there who may or may not be a robot, just because that's really off-putting, and you never know when they could like have a sort of freak out like this guy did.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones in Isolation look like rubber-coated mannequins with really synthetic-sounding voices, and their lips don't move.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a cool idea to add additional enemies to Alien Isolation, was the androids.
I like how this is becoming a thing where where in alien movies they just rip off the heads of androids. Can't wait for Alien Covenant, where Michael Fassbender pulls off Michael Fassbender's head. That's gonna be cool. I want that to happen. Like, have a scene where they fight and then one pulls the other's head off.
I'm just excited to see Michael Fassbender playing two characters in the same scene.
You got the technology to do it. And they have a great actor. Michael Fassbender's a really good actor.
Oh yeah, he's great.
He's better than you are.
Oh. Yeah, so the idea of the alien is that it's like the perfect organism because it doesn't have any kind of humanity. It just hunts and kills. Like, hey, you know what's great about the alien's design, aside from, you know, Geiger making it look like a giant penis? It's that I can't think of a single animal that it specifically reminds me of.
It's an insect.
Kind of? But even then, it's...
Entomology is a lot of fun.
Like, you can't just say it looks like a big turtle, or it looks like a big X. Like, that, I think
It looks like a big bug.
Kind of, but bugs don't really have faces like that or claws like that.
Think about it. Have
I've
you
heard
ever
people
seen a
compare
bug
it to a
close enough?
reptile.
Think about it. Have you ever seen a bug close enough that you can see its face?
Yeah. Usually they have a lot of eyes. They have like fangs.
Those are
and
just the big
stingers.
ones, not the small ones. Like the nesting in other animals is specifically something taken from bugs.
Okay.
Entomology is a lot of fun, kids. You should be an entomologist instead of unemployed YouTube idiots like us.
I'm employed, man. I just got my second paycheck for this or no, it's not my second. Okay, it's my second big paycheck.
I've never
There's
gotten
a lot of
any
them
paychecks.
that came in that were like $10. And then for some reason I shot up like 11,000 subscribers in 2 weeks recently. For some reason. Hello, new subscribers who are just finding me through this video. It gets better, I swear.
No, it doesn't.
Let Tom Hanks as Woody tell you, it gets better. Someone out there is going to get that.
I didn't.
Uh-oh. That is a really haphazard ponytail you got there, Ripley.
You're a haphazard ponytail.
I'm so shocked that this cat managed to survive this far. Like, I you know what? I guess maybe just because it has like more heightened senses than a human does, it's able to tell where the alien is better. Like just.
Plus, it's a lot smaller.
Oh yeah, well I mean, like if the cat runs and hides under if it hides in like the crevices in that ship there, the alien can't get it. You know?
If you're a human-sized alien, if you're a human or human-ish sized alien, what would be a bigger morsel, a human or a cat?
Maybe it just considers the cat like a bug, and it's like, I don't want to eat that. It's tiny and shitty and furry.
Mm-hmm. That's what I would think.
It doesn't matter if any of the human characters survive as long as Jones is okay.
Is that the fat cat's name?
Yeah. I have a cat named Panda. Because he's black and white. He was in The Simpsons Couch Potatoes. Hey, if you're not watching Couch Potatoes, you're super missing out. That's a great show.
But, I know. Like, I watch it every day.
Oh, yeah. I was totally talking to you.
I was just trying to support you because I want people to watch Couch Potatoes too because I want money from YouTube.
Dude, you have like 400 subscribers. You're going to have to wait a while before you get money. And it's not going to be living money. It's going to be, oh, thank God, I can afford lunch today money. It's not going to be like buy yourself a car money.
Well, I don't have a car, so.
The political landscape of YouTube is changing.
What? I have no idea what you're talking about.
I could link you to a whole article about how things are getting kind of wonky. But you know what? We'll persevere because it's not about the money. It's about making cool stuff.
It's about making stupid stuff.
You say stupid, I say cool.
You say tomato, I say potato.
Couch Tomatoes, a spin-off series.
That only lasts 2 seasons.
As they usually do.
Hey, did anybody watch the Blacklist Retribution?
Was James Spader in that?
No, I don't think so. I didn't watch it.
Like the main selling point of the Blacklist is James Spader?
I watched The Blacklist because I wanted to get excited for Age of Ultron, and then when Ultron let me down, I stopped watching it.
Oh. Ultron let everyone down.
Including James Spader.
Lambert, look out!
No, don't. It'll be a cooler death if you don't.
I like how the alien just, like, gives up all, attempts at subterfuge and just drops down from the ceiling and just kills everyone. Like, it's at the point where it's just kind of tired of hunting. God, that thing's slimy. Hey, so it's kind of hard to see, but you can actually see the outlines of, like, eye sockets in a skull behind the alien's sort of, like, eyeless face.
So is he any less slimy than you are, though?
Well, he's slimy literally instead of figuratively.
I meant both.
So yeah, I guess the alien technically has eyes. It's just they're behind a layer of skin, I guess. Or maybe it's just because it's designed like out of human DNA, so it has like the eye sockets there, but it doesn't actually have anything like to
Stop
put in
it!
them.
You're not a biologist.
It's got its cool little hook tail.
Did
Didn't
it
they
used to
reference
murder
this
that
scene in Covenant trailer with the
sex scene in Alien Covenant?
Yeah. I feel like I would get lost on this ship a lot. A lot of these hallways look the same.
You would get lost a lot in general.
A lot of these hallways look nearly identical, but I suppose that's because they are the same hallway.
Probably. I am the hallway now.
You know that scene earlier of when they got the cat to like kind of get close to what's his name, and then the alien dropped down behind him, and then the cat hissed and ran away. They actually filmed that because they had a German Shepherd behind like a sheet of metal, and it was just because the cat knew it was there. And then they lifted up the metal, and then like as soon as the cat saw the German Shepherd, it just freaked out and ran away.
That's what most people will do when they see Germans.
Oh. Man, that screen looks painted on.
I wonder why.
I really like that in Alien Isolation, you have to do this exact process by hand while there's an alien in the room with you attacking you. Like, look, this self-destruct thing is, like, very intentional. It takes a long time just because it's like, are you sure you want to blow up the ship?
It's like in Star Trek where they say they have to have 3 officers give their stupid verbal passcodes. Riker 31 to random thing.
What if one of the officers dies?
What?
Okay, they need 3 people to give a verbal passcode. What if one of them isn't there to do it?
I don't know.
I guess you're all getting taken space prisoner by space pirates.
I don't know.
I like how the siren is like echoing to imply that the ship is super big.
It doesn't feel super big, this ship.
Well, because it's just like a giant, like, Mobius strip.
You're a Mobius strip.
No, you.
So is everybody excited for the Emoji Movie?
We talked about this already, and no.
No, we need to see it. I'm telling you, we need to do a couch potatoes on it.
Why? Okay, hold on. We would have to pay for a way to watch it, and I do not want to see that in theaters. I have barely enough money to see movies lately. I am not wasting it on Emoji Movie. So, like...
You're not wasting it on Emoji Movie. You're using it wisely on the Emoji Movie.
Okay, you know what? How about this? We'll buy tickets to a different movie and then walk into Emoji Movie. And then, yeah, you know... Patrick Stewart won't be able to buy more fedoras, but... I think I used this joke already.
Fedoras.
Are you sure? I could have swore I saw a picture of him on Google with a fedora. So yeah, the guy that they got to play the alien in this, he was just some guy they found in a bar, and his only screen credit ever was in this movie because he was just really tall and skinny. And then after this movie,
what if he wanted to be in another movie?
He didn't. He just was like, "All right, thanks for that. I got to be in movie history."
Why is she deactivating the self-destruct?
Because it's a little bit too late and she spent too much time fucking around. She ended up spending too much time looking for that stupid-ass cat.
Mom!
Mom, turn on the cooling unit. Alright, you better, like... Get your ass out of here. What's the steam pouring in for? Is it just to tell everyone, hey, panic and run? Is that panic steam? Or is it venting something important? What a mysterious ship.
What a mysterious ship.
I'm gonna pretend I didn't hear that.
Remember, blinking lights during an emergency situation when people need to make themselves... when people need to evacuate to the nearest exit, as well as flowing bursts of gas, always make sure that you can know where you're going when you need to escape quickly, right? I'm just saying this...
I mean, it's a very... This scene looks really dire. Like... You can tell you're not supposed to be in this room right now.
This evacuation system is very poorly designed.
Because it's like an old submarine. From like the 40s.
Well, this is the future, not the 40s.
What?
You need to have better lighting on your ship.
But that requires power, and it's already, like, lights are a heat source, and it's already boiling hot on this ship, considering how sweaty everyone is.
Not really. Not if you have LEDs, which they will have in the future.
Not LEDs in this future. Dude, the
LEDs produce very little
in
heat.
This future have green text on a black screen, and no UI design.
Have you seen Prometheus?
I have, and I'm going to choose to ignore the continuity errors in it.
Have you seen... I'm sure they're going to have them even more in Alien Covenant, so just get used to them.
Fuck, man. All these cool things ruined by the future. If this movie was made today, Mother would be just named Siri.
And Mother would be played by Meryl Streep. Or Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
Because her.
Yeah. And Ripley would be played by Joaquin Phoenix.
No, Ripley would be played by Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh my god, you're so right. I think it's kind of funny how this little escape ship here is like the most like simple in terms of design compared to how like weird shaped everything is. Like this one's just here's a little space triangle. Like it looks the most like a Star Wars ship, while everything else is like a fucking
yeah. I make the joke in my
carton.
Let's Play that they look like cheese wedges.
That one looks like an upturned egg carton. Bye. Now, based on this explosion, you gotta wonder how fucking big. What if you detonated one of those like close to a planet?
Shaking the camera. Well, that's the same trick they use on Star Trek.
Alright, well, man, that ship. Hey, look, there's our 2001 A Space Odyssey tribute. That was one of the big influences on this. Alright, see you later. Bye, everyone's corpses. Okay, so the extended version of this movie, in that escape she has there, she actually bumps into a couple of the crewmates, and they're, like, glued up on walls, and I think the implication is they're, like, being turned into eggs somehow. But
what?
That's technically, like, non-canon, because, like, that kind of fucks up the biology they establish in the later movies.
You're not. We're all not canon. Nobody's canon. Except for Canon cameras. They're canon.
Hey, you know some cool stuff is that it's really hard to find like production and set photos of the original alien in the suit. Other than like there's the guy who plays him. His like IMDb photo is just him standing in the suit with the helmet off and looking kind of like bored. But that's like
why does he need an IMDb photo?
Just that because they had one. But they specifically wanted to make sure the shock value of the alien didn't get kind of diminished by seeing like here's the guy in the suit all the time, or just seeing it casually walk around the set. So they always tried to make sure that like none of that got to the public really. I mean, I'm sure eventually someone found like archival footage, but for the most part it was like kind of rare for a while. But yeah, they actually, again, because, like, this is back when everyone wanted to be, like, method actors. So they made sure the guy who played the alien didn't show up to, like, lunch breaks or, hang out with the rest of the cast because they wanted him to be more unsettling and creepy to the rest of the crew.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, he died in Nigeria in the 90s, I think. What a cool guy that Nigeria. He was just like, I'm going to be in this movie, and I'm going to play the alien. I'm going to be creepy and weird the whole time. And then after that, I'm just going to go back to my life as just being some graphic designer schmo. Oh, and by the way, because the tail on the suit was so big and cumbersome, he couldn't sit down in normal chairs, so I think they had to make a special chair for him. Hi, Sigourney Weaver butt.
Her underwear is really tiny, like it doesn't quite fit her.
Was that just the style at the time? Oh, I love how creative this is.
Creative what is? I know, I'd already seen... Like, that looks like a glove.
Yeah, but still,
that's
like,
obviously a glove.
I like that the alien's head was just there, and it just kind of blended in with the texture of the ship. Like, there's something kind of like organic but also mechanical about the alien. Like its body kind of like blends in with all the tubes and wires and shit hanging around in the ship. I think you can see in that shot just a little bit the vague outline of the eye sockets it has under its face.
Mm-hmm.
That looks cool. That's cool. I like that.
Still a glove, though.
Yeah, it's still a glove, but, you know. Suspension of disbelief, mon frere. So, you know, God, I love the design of that suit. It's so cool. I wonder if that suit still exists or if it ended up getting, like, trashed or something. I'm sure someone out there, like, still owns it. Maybe Ridley Scott has it, like, in a statue in his house or something.
Remember how George Lucas wants to build a museum with all his, like, old Star Wars props and stuff?
You see, that's annoying because he already kind of did that, and it's the Skywalker Ranch, and I think he lives there.
I don't think he lives there. I don't think he lives in Marin County.
I don't know. I can't remember. I haven't been paying a lot of attention to George Lucas's personal life.
But that's his big project right now. Like, he's working on a museum, and then also the Academy, like the Academy that gives out Academy Awards, wants to build a museum in LA for movie props.
I went to a art museum that had a Star Wars thing in it. Like it was a special exhibit they put together of old Star Wars props, and I was really excited to go because it was just like some random thing for a film class I was doing. Like, hey, let's go look at some like real life props and stuff. And while I was there, I kind of got sad because like 99% of it was prequel stuff and not the original movies. Because I guess the like original props were either too valuable to move around like that, or probably didn't exist anymore. You know, so it was mostly just like there. I would say like a whole third of the exhibit was just Princess Amidala's outfits. You know, with her dumb big hair helmets.
She has more weirder costumes than Lady Gaga did.
Yeah. I like how the alien's just chilling over there. He's not even really, like, actively hunting her.
He's kind of tired. He's like...
You know what? He had a very big day. He got to eat a bunch of people, and...
He's probably digesting. He's like...
Maybe aliens actually do that. Like, they just
so
go
full.
Find a spot to go sit and digest the people.
He's like, I'm so full. I've eaten so many people today.
He's just food comaing over in that wall there. So it was Sigourney Weaver's idea to sing this song for this scene because it was, you know, it was originally kind of just like silent. And then I think Ridley Scott said that like the studio got super pissed off that he wanted that in there because the rights to "You Are My Lucky Star" were like really expensive. A lot of this movie's production was just Ridley Scott pissing them off by like, hey, can I add this? And then them begrudgingly saying yes, but God, is it going to be expensive? Like a lot of the sets, for example.
Those dry ice machines aren't cheap, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame her. I'd be panicking a lot, too. If that thing was in the room with me.
But your panicking would be a lot funnier than hers.
It would be a lot more like yelling, "Oh God, oh God, oh God!" You know? I have no idea what the purpose of that grappling hook is. But it's... like, why is that there? Now my question is, what was the alien's plan? Was it just gonna get into the thruster and then, like, crawl up back into the ship? Because I don't think there's actually, like, a direct line into the room she's in from there. Like, it would have to rip some stuff up. Get Chris...
How is it still breathing?
Alien. I think xenomorphs also, because there's a couple of scenes in, like, Alien Isolation where it's in a room with no oxygen, and then also in, like, Alien Resurrection, if you want to count that as canon, there's just, like, scenes of it swimming underwater. So I guess they don't need oxygen. You know who else doesn't need oxygen? Kryptonians.
I would care if I read DC Comics.
Yeah, Superman can just fly through space, and because he doesn't really breathe, and also, like, you know, the vacuum doesn't really do anything to his body, he's just fine. And I don't know if I like that, because that's a little overpowered. Like, he could seriously just fly to Mars if he wanted to. So, in the Superman animated series, they took that like that was the only power they took away from him, was being able to breathe in space. So he had to wear a spacesuit and fly a ship just so he couldn't go anywhere. And I think that's a fair
Wouldn't
compromise.
it be cool if he could fly with a spacesuit on?
I think he did in the thing, because I've always just kind of accepted Superman's flight is him, like, using his weird Kryptonian powers to make his, like, body lighter. So yeah,
That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, he shoots sun.
Ivor Powell.
He shoots solar rays.
Good
out
job,
of his
Ivor
eyes.
Powell. Good job, Terry Rawlings.
Good job, all of you people.
Derek Van Lint.
Yeah, so Ripley goes into stasis and is like, I hope the people pick me up soon. And then
Yeah, they're gonna pick him up in 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years, that would be great. It's actually 50. Oh, by the way, fun fact, H.R. Geiger didn't get a screen credit for Alien Resurrection, and then he had to sue 20th Century Fox because he's like, fuck you, all these alien designs are mine. You didn't alter them at all like the third movie. And he didn't get any, like, compensation or credit for it, so, and then...
He didn't get any residuals.
But he got his money. I wonder if, hey, you know that like, there was this really bad animated movie a couple years ago called Planet 51, and as a joke, there was a dog in the movie that was just designed to be the xenomorph, like, just flat out, it was the xenomorph's design, without any kind of changes or compromises, but it was acting like a dog, so does that fall under parody, because it's being silly?
It does.
Like, did they have to pay him royalties for using the design?
If it's a parody, I think I would hope it isn't.
Because I
believe it isn't.
Not change it at all. Like, it just Roger.
If it
Dickens.
doesn't, I mean, I'm not a copyright lawyer, so I couldn't tell you.
Maybe you should become one.
I
feel like you'd be really good at that.
My parents and my family think I should be a lawyer, and if I become a lawyer, that's the kind I'm gonna be.
Cool. Look, see, Alien? Balaji Badejo. Badeheo. Badbao. Recorded
Somebody
in Dolby
who's actually
Stereo.
Not on Dolby, or under Dolby Atmos, or whatever the new one is.
Oh, color by Eastman Kodak.
Remember when Kodak was a company that mattered?
Yeah. Remember when they made printers? What a good movie.
You're a movie.
Alright, so what do you think of it upon a second viewing, David? Anything about change?
Viewing, it's pretty much what I saw last time. In fact, I dare say there were no changes between what I saw before and what I saw now.
Well, you know, sometimes you can find a new appreciation for a movie upon the second viewing, or maybe you can discover that you actually fucking hate it. You know.
Well, I would think about it more if I was actually watching it more instead of just talking with you about it. To be honest, the suit I thought looked a bit sillier the second time.
Well, yeah, because you knew which scenes to pay like special attention for it, you know, because you knew when it was gonna show up. It wasn't kind of out of nowhere.
Like, the suit, kinda. The suit, you know, I think it wasn't as good the second time or the first time than it was the first time. Because, like, the second time, like, things weren't as unexpected, so I kind of knew what to expect, and then the special effects didn't quite hold up enough.
Well, I think that's another reason why Aliens, I think I'm gonna go ahead and say I like more. Because I think that one holds up on multiple viewings, because there's stuff I didn't notice.
Because there's also... Well, it holds up more in my book, because there's more of an emotional story and an emotional arc to that film. So you're willing to suspend your disbelief a little bit more, because you're just along for the ride with these interesting characters. But with here, not really.
Well, here it's just a bunch of space... It's just a bunch of guys on a ship going, oh shit, that's bad. Look out.
Mm-hmm.
There comes the alien. So, yeah, I get what you mean. So, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our little ramble here. And
stay tuned for the next episode of Alien Week.
Alright, see you next time, folks.
Bye.
Bye.